Good morning. How are you, everybody? This is Dana Marie Kennedy, State Director for AARP Arizona, and I'm here with Coach Sherry Ann Little, and we are continuing our Back to the Basics series. And September is Fall Prevention Month, and we know how devastating falls can be if somebody has a fall and the consequences of that fall and everything afterwards. So we thought that we would go ahead and do a show dedicated to everything we can do to help prevent falls. And so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sherry Ann Little. Thank you, Sherry Ann, for being with us again today.
Thank you, Dana, so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to serve your community here at AARP. And like we discussed 2 weeks ago when we were touching on Fall Prevention Month, it's really quite devastating because 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 65 have a fall every year. And 20 to 30% of those result in pretty severe, moderate to severe injuries where they have a broken hip. And then those severe injuries lead to further complications. And so it really is a good thing that you guys are committing a whole month to just fall prevention, because it's one of those things that it just sneaks up on us.
It
It
does.
just does. And because balance declines because you're losing muscle mass, and it actually starts in our 30s. So when someone finally realizes that their balance is not quite there anymore, they've already lost so much time. So it's like, let's just work on it, until, so that we can really prevent it as much as possible. When I read that sarcopenia, which is muscle depletion, that it's when it starts in its 30s, I was like, what?
I know, that's not fair.
So exercising is a key thing. And part of that is not only keeping the musculature there, so because your muscle does, deplete as you get older if you're not using it. It's definitely one of those use it or lose it things. And so it's not only muscle depletion, but it's also keeping the nerve signals, the messages that we're having from our brain to our body, keeping those awakened and receiving the signal and being able to send the signal. So it's not just the musculature, it's also the nerve cells that we're wanting to make sure that we keep awake between our brain and our body. So doing constant things that challenge us. And so that's a really important thing to keep doing. I mean, have you had balance issues? Have you noticed?
So I had a series of a year where I just seemed to keep falling. And sometimes it happened when I was out of town. Sometimes it would happen on just my regular run on the canal. And I felt like I just got over one fall and then I would have another. And I was looking at everything. Was it my shoes? Was it my head? Was it my nerves? So I went to the doctor and had an evaluation. They decided that they wanted to do more testing. They looked at my blood work. They looked at my balance, and I was looking at my shoes, trying my shoes. I mean, just everything. And everything kept coming up just fine. And finally, I was reading, and I think I mentioned this at the last show, but I was reading something about cilia in rats, and they found that they were implanting cilia in rats, and it was actually helping with their balance issue. And I thought, well, I keep putting these ear pods in my ear and then go running. And so I literally stopped, and I thought, also, I need to be more mindful and just think about my environment. So I literally stopped listening to music when I run and no longer putting ear pods. And I've had an almost occasional, fall just because, I hike and, I'm active. And I would tell the doctor, like, if I just sat on my couch, I wouldn't fall. Because every time I kept going to the doctor, they'd be like, what'd you do this time? And I'd be like, well, I was just running. And I was like, I could just sit on the couch and not be active. But I also enjoy trail running. And with trail running, you just, there's rocks. And, just yesterday I was, hiking in the dark and my foot hit a rock and, I caught myself. But if I was listening to music or something in my ear, I might not have caught myself. So I think that, it's also really important as you do get older that you listen to your body. Your body is giving you cues. So my body was telling me to be mindful and don't listen to music when you run. And I've been able to not fall and go to the doctor with him looking at me like, what have you done this time?
Right. Well, it's interesting because I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did touch on it a little bit, but it's our ears are a major part of our balance, our inner ear. And so, but when you put, and we do have all these little hairs in our ears, and our ears are designed to self-clean themselves. That's why we have earwax. But when people put things in their ears, it shoves that earwax down. It impacts the ability for the ear to actually function the way it's supposed to function and keep us balanced. And so when you do anything with your ears, it immediately impacts your balance. So it's be very cognizant that you don't want to be putting things in your ears. I mean, even the AirPods, I know they stick on the outside and they just kind of sit there in the ear. But if you're pushing anything into your ear, like the silicone ones, be very, very mindful of what's happening. It's much, much better if you can put over the ear if you're wanting to listen to anything. Because I know here in my house sometimes, because I have ones that I put over my ears that are noise canceling to just be so I can be able to focus. And those are great, or if you're flying, but do over the ear rather than stuff in your ear. Yeah. And to touch on also trails, like you said. So if a lot of people don't want to go do trails for the fear of falling, and just slow down, because the benefit of walking on uneven ground is it not only challenges your brain, but also challenges all of what they call your ancillary, your stabilizer muscles in the lower part of your leg and your ankle, because that's usually what happens. And so it's like, go ahead and train those muscles to recognize different angles and different things, because that will help with your balance. And it's really important to be able to train yourself and your brain that if you are unstable, how to quickly move. Because think about it, when someone's falling, they're not slowly moving to catch themselves. It's right. It happens so fast. And, even when some people actually hit the ground, they're like, what just happened? Like it sneaks up on us. So it's really, really important to, allow yourself to be challenged. And so going and walking trails is a huge thing. And even if you don't want to go do trails, go do something where the ground is a little uneven though. Like the canal is great. Mm-hmm. You can move yourself up to rocky trails.
Yes, exactly. It's fun.
Yes, it is. So, and the other thing before I jump into displaying some exercises, I will show you some exercises that you can do at home, and I encourage you to actually get up and do them with me. A few of the things that you can think about doing, once again, are yoga. Doing yoga on a regular basis is huge, because it not only makes you be mindful and bodily aware, but you're training your muscles in a different way that you don't normally do. Tai Chi is a very, very popular exercise. Let's do Pilates. And you can do water aerobics. Water aerobics is actually very, very good on your joints because it's non-weight bearing, because once you're in the pool, a lot of that weight is taken off of you. So you can actually move a little more fluidly, and water is incredibly dense. So being able to move through water actually does challenge your balance. So water aerobics is huge, or regular aerobics. Another very popular activity is tennis. A lot of lateral movement, which isn't normal for most people. Everybody's usually running linearly. I can't even say it right now. But walking forward and backwards, not lateral movements. And so tennis is great. Plus, it forces you to make those fast moves that you want to be able to do to catch yourself in a fall.
Pickleball.
Most people, what's that?
I said pickleball.
Yes. Yeah, pickleball is a much more condensed court than a tennis. And it's fun. You can really have a lot of good time with pickle or tennis. Bowling. Most people have forgotten about bowling, but bowling is actually a really fun activity. And because of how you're standing on one leg and moving your body, you actually are kind of out of balance because you're down on one leg. So bowling is a great one that you can do. And picking up a bike, like going and if you're afraid of falling off of a bike, I encourage you to start with a beach cruiser. The wheelbase is really long. They're very, very stable, but you can really get, and you can have the seat low enough to where you can have both your feet on the ground. So you're not feeling like you can put them down quickly. And so if you're not comfortable with biking, go get a beach cruiser and try it out. But biking is actually a lot of fun. So, but I know that, because just for my mom's sake, I got her a really cute beach cruiser with 7 gears, just so she can make herself around the canal. There's little hills here and there, but she's still very afraid of falling off the bike, but beach cruisers are the way to go if you have a little bit of fear. And so kind of bouncing back, because I just thought of this again when you're talking about your ears, balance has a lot to do with all of our sensories. Yeah. So have you ever stood and closed your eyes and tried to do an activity that you normally do with your eyes open, but when your eyes are closed, it's a little more challenging. Have you ever tried that?
They made me do that in physical therapy during all my falling.
It's a really eye-opening experience. Like, say just brushing your teeth, because you have the visual of looking at yourself in the mirror. But if you just stand on one leg and brush your teeth, because brushing your teeth is something that you've been doing, I mean, thousands of times, because you do it twice a day, hopefully, every day. And so, but just stand there and stand on one foot and brush your teeth and close your eyes, and it'll feel so bizarre. And so I do challenge all of you viewers to go ahead and give that a shot and see what it feels like. And if you don't want to do it like while you're doing an activity, just stand there, but stand somewhere where, like, close to a countertop or somewhere where you can touch something when you need to touch it. And, close your eyes with your hands on that item, whether it's a counter, and then close your eyes and then take your hands off the item and just see what it feels like. And then if you need to, just gently put your finger back on the countertop just to kind of give you a reference point, because you're giving yourself a mental reference point, not a visual reference point. And because all of our senses are connected, and just touching it just kind of gives you a reference point, but then take your hand back off again and just see what happens. It's quite remarkable when we take our eyes away, how our body reacts.
Right.
So it's a great activity. And I know there's a lot of ear, nose, throat, because that's usually when people have balance, they'll end up going to an ear, nose, throat doctor. They'll have you just test, like, that's an exercise that they'll have you do on a regular basis, actually in the shower. Just close your eyes in the shower, stand on one foot. I find the shower to be, kind of dangerous. It's wet,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, brush your teeth. Just stand at the counter and close your eyes, start brushing your teeth and see what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump right in, because I just have a few exercises that I do want to show you. I kind of briefly touched on them 2 weeks ago, and that's why we thought we would devote a whole segment to doing exercises. And so if you are watching this live on Facebook, I do encourage you just to hop up, even if you're watching the recorded version, hop up and kind of walk through the exercises with me. And if you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead and throw them in there. We do have people that can read them and shoot them off at me and ask me what's going on. Before I jump into the exercises, let me show you this little tool. Do you have one of these?
I don't.
So I showed it last week, and I'll demonstrate it today, but it's a balance disc. So these are great. I actually originally bought this for my son to sit on in class, because when you sit on it, it moves just enough to stimulate.
Right.
Because he has a hard time sitting. So if I give him something that kind of moves a little bit, it's easier for him to stay seated.
That's a great idea.
But they're a great tool to stand on to really work on those ancillary muscles in your ankles, the lower leg muscles, just to help with balance. But yeah, so let's just jump right into some of the exercises, unless you have anything else that you want to ask or share, Dana.
No, I'm good. Let's get moving.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to switch cameras here at my house. Okay, so this little balance disc, I'll just go ahead and touch on it briefly, really quickly. So it does have a knobby side and a smooth side. The knobby side is fun if you like to massage the bottom of your foot, but typically I just throw that side down and I just stand on it, and you'll see how it kind of moves, and like my whole lower leg and ankle have to really focus on maintaining stability, which is balance. Your balance starts from your feet up. And the reason I am barefoot is partially because I like to be barefoot. But the other is you have all of these bones and muscles in your feet, and that's where your balance starts. And so shoes can disrupt your ability to have decent balance. So when you're working on your balance out of the gate, I do encourage you to do it with no shoes on, so that you can really feel the ground and feel your whole foot into the ground. Okay, so the first exercise I want to show you is just a wide leg squat, and I'm going to do this sideways with a chair. And I do encourage you to do this with a chair at first, unless you're really comfortable with just doing a basic, what they call like an air squat, going down and coming up. But just have a chair behind you, and if you want, you can just gently touch your butt to it and then come right back up. And you just have your hands in front of you or to your side, doesn't really matter, but you're just going to go all the way down to a squat and then come right back up. And when you come up, really push your hips forward so that you can use your whole trunk when you're doing that squat. So you're going to come all the way down, touch it, and then just stand right back up. one thing I really want you to focus on is make sure you're far enough away from the chair that you're keeping your knees behind your toes when you go to sit down. A lot of people have a tendency when they go to squat, their knees go in front of their toes, and that's a lot of strain on these knees. And plus, we're really wanting to use these muscles to stabilize us. So squat back down, and then just stand right back up. Okay? All right, so that's your basic squat. The next exercise, and if you have leg weights, go ahead and throw them on your ankles. If you don't, no big deal. So the next one that you want to really kind of focus on is if you can do this without touching the chair, go for it. But what I want you to do is keep your knees aligned, and you're just going to do a hamstring curl. And when you do it, don't just lift your leg up and put it back down. Really engage that hamstring back there, because it's like so your hamstring is a lot like your bicep. So when you do a bicep curl, it's just like doing a hamstring curl. So curl that leg up, try to do it without touching the chair, and right back down. And up and down. And then you're going to switch legs. And really keep those knees aligned, because your knee's going to want to come forward, but keep it back here so you really focus on doing a hamstring curl and get that hamstring all engaged. And you're going to do 10 to 15 reps on each leg. And if you want to do it 1 to 3 sets, go for it. That's really what you're comfortable in doing. So now we're going to go back to sitting in this lovely chair. Once again, if you have ankle weights, great. If you don't, not a big deal. The whole point is just to engage the muscles. So as you're sitting here, what I'd like for you to do is you're just going to do a leg extension. You're just going to curl that leg straight out. You don't need to lift it up or anything. You're just going to curl it out and bring it back down. And when you curl it out, what you're wanting to do is really contract the whole quadricep muscle. So out, hold there for a second, and curl it back down. You're just going to do a nice knee extension. And if you don't have ankle weights, the reason it doesn't matter is when you hold it there, you're going to kind of hold an isometric hold there and then bring it back down. And the whole leg will still be engaged the entire time. So once again, 10 to 15 reps per leg, 1 to 3 sets if you're comfortable. All right, the next one, which I'd like for you to try to do without the chair as well. And I'm going to do it sideways, but I'll kind of turn a little bit, because the whole point of this is I want you to do a side. Actually, I'll just do it like this. So what you're doing here is you're engaging, you have your adductors and your abductors. So those are the muscles that bring your legs out and in. And these are lateral muscles that we have a tendency to neglect quite a bit, because everything we do is forward and backwards, not a whole lot of lateral movement. And you really want those engaged, because sometimes when you stumble, you catch your toe or whatever, sometimes it's to the side, and you need to be able to engage that muscle quickly. So you're going to raise it out to the side and back in. 10 to 15 times, 1 to 3 sets on each leg. So that's your lateral move to help with lateral movements, your lateral raise. The next thing I'd like for you to do is you're going to go ahead and sit back. Actually, no, we'll leave this chair here. Sorry about that. So this one, I really want you to just use a finger on the chair. If you can just use one, great. If you can do it with none, even better. So the whole point of this is a toe raise. So, and I'd like for you to, if you just want to do 2 feet at one time, that's fine. If you can do one, just leave the other foot kind of off to the side and just do one at a time, so you can really train both legs, because we have a tendency when we do legs together at the same time, one always dominates the other. So if you can just switch your legs and do them one at a time, that would be even better, because then you're really training both of them quite equally. Because if you do both of them, it's much, much easier, which is great. So if you need to start with both of your feet, go ahead and do that. But eventually try to get to where you're just doing one leg at a time. Okay? So that's all lower body. The next exercises, I didn't bring any weights in here for a particular reason, and that's because a lot of people don't have weights at home. And so you don't need to use weights. You could go get a can of soup. You could get a 16-ounce water bottle, really anything you want. But if you don't have weights, it's okay. If you have exercise bands, you can use exercise bands. But the next few exercises that I want to show you are going to train your upper body, which people are like, but why do I need to train my upper body to prevent falls? Well, that's because if you think about it, when you fall, your whole body jerks, like everything jerks. arms move fast, things like that. So you actually need to engage your upper body when you're training as well. So all I want you to do is you're gonna do a seated row. So you're gonna pretend like you have weights. You're just gonna bend over. Don't bend over so far that your upper body's laying on your thighs, just enough. And all you're gonna do is, if you don't have weights, I want you to clench your hands like you do have weights. And I want you to pull your hands back to your hips, and you're gonna squeeze your shoulder blades together like you're squeezing an orange together between your shoulder blades, and you're wanting to juice that orange. So you're gonna go right back down, and you're gonna pull right back up, and you're gonna feel all your muscles tense in your arms and in your back, and you're gonna squeeze that orange. You're gonna push back down. So you can get just as good of an exercise without weights simply by engaging all of those muscles. So you're gonna push back down, you're gonna pull back up. Once again, 10 to 15. You do 1 to 3 sets. The next exercise is just a seated, it's gonna be an upright. So you're just gonna stand here and pretend like you have weights in your hands. You're gonna push it all the way up to the ceiling, straight up. You don't need to touch them. A lot of people do that, but you don't need to. Push up, 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 up. And when you pull down, engage your whole back like you're gonna pull yourself up on a bar. Pull down, and then once again, engage the same muscles, and you're gonna push up, and you're gonna pull down. So if you have light weights, go for it. If not, sometimes not using weights is better. What you could do if you wanted is you could hold a hand towel, hold the hand towel taut, because it'll keep everything tense. Hand towel doesn't weigh but a few ounces, but it'll keep you engaged and keeping your hands taut. You don't have to have weights. You can do these exercises without weights. All right, that is, and then a basic curl. And I like to do a hand towel taut in my hands also, because you're keeping the muscles engaged. Once again, elbows to the side. You're just gonna curl up, hold it tight, and then right back down. And when you go down, don't let gravity just pull your hands down. Actually engage your tricep and pull down, so that you're pulling up like as if someone's trying to pull your hand down, and then you're gonna pull down as if somebody's trying to not let you get your arm down. So engage through the whole exercise. And the beauty of not having a weight, like I already said, is it makes you really focus on the muscles that you're using, because weights have a tendency to make us become a little lazy, because we let gravity, and I mean the muscles are doing the work, but when you're not using a weight and you're actually making the move the whole way through, you really are become very, very aware and mindful of your muscles. So those are really some basic exercises that I wanted to share with you to just be able to do at home on a regular basis. And I can type these up and put them on the Facebook page so that people can kind of run through them and remember them. But the last thing that I want to talk to you about is velocity. So a lot of the times, like I'd already mentioned earlier talking with you, Dana, that you need to be able to move quickly. Like doing exercises and becoming aware of your balance are all great things to do, but you need to be able to move with velocity when something is occurring, when you're getting ready to fall. So unless you train your brain to move with velocity, it's not going to know that it needs to move with velocity when the time happens. So you need to actually practice that so the brain knows how to send that signal quickly. So after you've done your exercises, what I would like for you to do is just be sitting here, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do things fast, like you're going to stand up fast. So in order to stand up fast and utilize the muscles that we're wanting to use, you're going to pick your feet up off the ground quickly, put them down quickly, and stand up. And so this is teaching you how to move with velocity. So you're just going to go and stand up very quick as you can, sit back down, and go. So you're just moving very, very quickly so that your body knows how to catch yourself when you go for a fall. So you're just gonna sit here and you're gonna do it about 10 times, rest a little bit, and then do it 10 more times. You're just gonna go as fast as you can. Pick your feet, and the reason I want you to pick your feet up, and put them back down on the ground quickly is that way then you can create velocity. Because just sit here and then just try to stand up quickly. Like my brain is kind of like you can do it, but it's so much better if you pick your feet up and you just do it as quickly as you can. So just 10 times up and down. So you can move with velocity, because velocity is very, very key when you're trying to catch yourself. So make sure that you're doing that, and you'll be on the right path to getting your balance back to you. So Dana, did you join us in doing these exercises?
Well, I did some of them, but I did do my exercises this morning. So I did about a 5 mile trail run, hike, and then I did a 30-minute spin class this morning.
Nice. Good for
Um,
you. Our
and
weather's finally turning nice here to be able to be outside to go enjoy the mornings. Our mornings are decent now.
yeah,
So I'm excited.
I like it because I leave when it's dark and then I get to watch the sunrise, and that kind of sets me up for success for the day. But these are really great tips, and I just think it's so important. And we have somebody on our executive council whose wife just fell, and it was very unfortunate, and she broke her hip as well as her wrist, and it was just, she moved real quickly, and it just happens really quickly, and so we're just really committed to making sure that people think about this, still live your life,
Mhm.
and move your body and take care of yourself and do everything possible to fall. And if you do fall, hopefully there's minimal damage, and just hope maybe a bruised ego. That's the best case scenario. And my
Right.
great gramps, he lived to be 99 years old, and he was short. He was like 5'2", and he loved to garden and walk every day. And he definitely had a few tumbles, and we would constantly remind him to use a cane. But a lot of times people don't want to use canes. But he had some visual impairment that really probably led to a majority of his falls. And luckily, he never really hurt himself. My grandmother, she had a couple of falls and she did hurt herself, but she recovered. So I think that luckily with physical therapy and occupational therapy and different therapies, if you do fall and if you hurt yourself, because that you recover quickly, because the majority of us will fall at some time in our life. The older you get, the more likely it is to have a fall that could really cause some real damage.
I
So
mean, that's
these,
the key, is like to making sure that you're taking care of yourself. So if and when that does happen, you can recover quickly, because we all can recover from a fall, you know, but it's how long is it going to take? I mean, my dad fell back in May and cracked 3 or 4 ribs, and he's in his 70s, and it took him a while. Um, but thankfully, he was already physically active leading up to that, so that he did go ahead and recover without complications. But it definitely takes its time,
yeah.
But how you are living your life and taking care of yourself will become a massive determining factor in how you recover.
And we didn't cover this, but I think we should touch on it real quickly, is shoes. It's really important to wear good practical shoes.
Yeah.
And, our executive council member that's wife, fell, he's like, I always told her not to wear those shoes. So, even if you wear thongs, wear supportive thongs.
Yeah.
It's so important, and make sure that you're properly fitted for shoes, and that you're not wearing shoes that are too small or too big, because feet are so important. There's so many bones and so many ligaments and muscles in your feet. So you really need to take care of them.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and the thing is too, is like I was demonstrating earlier, like do these exercises barefoot so that you can train the muscles in your feet, because we have muscles all in our feet, the fascia on the bottom, like all of it. So let your feet, I mean, if you think about it, when a baby is learning to walk, they learn best barefoot, because their feet are trying to figure out how to be on the ground, and then that all translates up.
Exactly.
So, I mean, even me, as skilled as I am in flip flops, sometimes I catch them funny, and I'm catching myself so I don't hit the ground. So, like, flip flops, are great and convenient, but they are not the best shoe to wear if you are not stable. Do not wear flip flops.
Yeah. And they do have more and more very supportive ones and recovery ones. So just, probably don't get the $2 flip flops.
Right.
So take care of your feet and invest a little bit of money and resources if you have it. So this was a great show, and I know that we're at the bottom of the hour. I don't know if we have any questions, if anybody came up.
I did not see any. I was leaving that to
So
you and
what
your
is the next show, and what kind of have I asked you to do for the next show?
We're going to cover healthy snacking, like how to have good healthy snacks. What does a healthy snack look like? Why do we snack, and things like that. So we will cover some healthy snacks in our next segment.
Yeah, that was kind of my idea because I realize like a lot of people are working from home and the ability to snack is probably right your refrigerator away, where when you're in the office, you may not be able to just go and grab something.
Right.
But being home and, if you've got the kids and, they like snacks and might not be of your best interest to eat their snacks. And so I just thought that it would be a really great idea, and also looking at, that whole food pyramid as far as when you do reach for a snack, there's probably some great tips.
Well, and with that, I will touch on boredom eating because I don't know how many people have that, and you'll know it when I say it, but that boredom stare. You go and you open the fridge or the pantry and you just stare at it like, I want something, but what do I want? It's like, do you really want something now?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, those are great topics to cover. So, and when is the next class? I know we
It will
are
be
moving into it a
Monday,
little bit.
October 5th.
October
Monday.
5th.
Yeah, it won't be a Tuesday class. It'll be a Monday, October 5th, because with this time of the year, the election year, and there's all kinds of things going on. So we're just being a little flexible. So we're going to do Monday, October 5th at 10
Great.
a.m.
Okay, so I look forward to Monday, October 5th. How did it become almost October already?
I feel the same way.
Although maybe there's some great pumpkin snacks that you're gonna give
Yes.
to us as we get closer to fall. Well, we're actually in fall. This is the very first day of fall.
It's nice.
So I hope everybody's enjoyed this fall prevention class. Make sure you take these exercises and take care of yourself, and we will see you on October 5th. Thank you so much, Coach Sherry Ann.
Thanks, Dana.
Make it a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.